I'm going to be breaking down the 5 most costly mistakes when running Facebook ads, including one mistake even the best advertisers fail to realize, so stick around to the end of the video. All right, so tip number 1 is to stop making too many I think we should emphasize on the dang.
I'm not a rapper.
Changes. And stop changing your mind. This is not a road trip with your friends where you get to skip the song every 30 seconds.
Just don't touch the radio, bro.
So what happens when you change too often is that Facebook has to constantly relearn what it is that you're telling it to do. So if you change your image, if you change your audience, if you do all of these different changes, what happens is everything gets reset and it has to start all over again. Where this comes into a problem is that if you have somebody who sets a campaign the exact same day as you, so you have campaign 1 that's you, campaign 2 that's somebody else, and they don't change anything, even if their campaign isn't set up as well as yours, but you make all these changes, they're continuing to run a race where they will beat you because Facebook is able to learn. When you're setting up these campaigns, very simply, all you need to do is give Facebook the data to begin to learn and then let it continue to learn. Give yourself at least, a rule of thumb is 72 hours before you make any type of change at all. Let Facebook figure out what it needs to be successful. All right, so number 2 is not tracking your numbers. And I don't mean inside of Facebook. Facebook has a lot of really good tools and data that give you good metrics. It's probably a good lead or lagging indicator of what's going on. But what we have seen is that everything that has changed with iOS, or even as early as in 2019, 2018, is that we get less data through Facebook. What you need to do as an e-commerce business is to know 2 things. 1, how much I spent today, and 2, how much did I make today? Facebook's gonna give you a certain amount of data. You need to interpret it how you would like, but you need to look at your data a lot more clearly. I know people who say, oh, I spent $1 on Facebook and I made 2. Well, if you don't know your numbers well enough to know that if that cost goes up to $1.50 and you still only make $2, you're not even profitable anymore. You can't even make your money. So you need to know exactly how much you can spend per day, how much you do make per day, and what changes you need to see inside of Facebook. We have another video that talks about how to scale and grow your e-commerce business successfully. I would check out that video. But more importantly for here, determine what your metrics are that you're looking at in your business every single day. And that's gonna give you a really good, clear indication of how you can be successful long-term. And it comes down to those 2 numbers as your base point, right? How much are you spending? And then how much are you making? Don't look just at Facebook ads. And if you already have a Facebook ads manager, don't look at just the report. You need to look at, okay, if you have Shopify or something similar, how much did I spend in ads? How much of that was attributed to my sales? And then how much did I make in Shopify? If I spent $3,000 and Facebook said I made $8,000, but I look at Shopify and I made $7,000, there's a difference, there's discrepancy there. You need to know your numbers. All right, so stick around to the very end because I'm gonna share with you one thing that I would say 99% of people do not even do correctly. And that includes advanced Facebook advertisers all the way to newbies where you can have a huge advantage. So stick around. I want to say welcome to everybody new. My name is Aaron Pearson. I'm one of the co-founders here at Bit Branding. We've been helping frustrated store owners become impactful store owners since 2015 through tips, tactics, and strategies. And we would truly appreciate it if you continue to support the channel by hitting that subscribe button and turning on the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any of our content we put out every single week. All right, so number 3 is splitting your budget into too many campaigns. Using campaigns, like multiple campaigns, is a luxury problem. It's something that I've learned even in the last 6 to 12 months, is that you don't need a ton of campaigns to be successful. Let me show you what I mean. So when you jump into Ads Manager, and assuming you get here through business.facebook.com, and as a side note, if you don't have a business manager, we have a video, hopefully we'll put it up on the screen, of walking you through how to set up a business manager successfully. Going back to here, you're inside of Ads Manager. You can see this campaign or this page is blocked out, but there's multiple campaigns running. What happens is if you are running too many campaigns, remember from the problem number 1, we changed it too much where Facebook couldn't learn. Well, if you're splitting your budget in 3 different areas, you're now splitting up where Facebook can learn because you're giving it 3 different objectives. Hey, Facebook, spend money over here. Hey, Facebook, spend money over here, spend money over here. And let's just say you had $10 or $30 or $50. If you had to split it up 3 different ways, you have less buying power. and it has less data to learn, and ultimately goes into a stage, and you can't see it here because these are all actually active, but it will go into a stage where it's quote unquote learning limited. And learning limited, what that means is that Facebook doesn't have the confidence to deliver successful results to you, so it's going to give it to somebody else who they do feel confident in. Because remember, Facebook's #1 goal is to keep people on Facebook and keep them happy. So you do that through great creative, but you also do that through great advertising. And Facebook needs the data for you to be successful online. So when you're in a campaign and you have, let's say for example, one campaign and then 3 different ad sets or 3 different sets of targeting, and then you go to the ad and you have 3 different sets of ads, what that happens is that you're not only spinning ads in one area, you're spinning it in 9, 10, 12 different areas. There's so many different variations. And what happens is it doesn't have the data that it needs to be successful long-term. Very simply, and we can talk about this in another time, it's a different video on how to set up a Facebook ad successfully and scale that to from $100 a day to thousands of dollars a day. That is another video, go check that out. But very simply, you want to create one campaign and then one audience and one ad. If you can do that and you can do it successfully, then at that point when you're spending thousands of dollars a day, then you could create a second campaign. You do not need multiple campaigns. And that is a big misnomer, it's a big misbelief that people have, is that you have to target people who visit your website, target people who visit or watched your video, people who visited your landing page, people who looked at this product and show ads back to them. You don't need to do that. Facebook has the data that you need, and you can figure out everything from inside of one campaign and actually make Facebook smarter by spending less money and actually beating the competition. Because the best way for you to beat competition is to focus on something that somebody else hasn't tapped into yet. And most people complicate Facebook ad campaigns. So if you are able to simplify your ads, you're going to be a lot more successful than the other people who haven't watched this video yet. All right, so number 4, we kind of alluded to this. I kind of foreshadowed to this in number 3 because it's so popular, it's so important, and we've talked about it in a ton of other videos, and that is good creative. It doesn't matter how good your campaign is set up, it doesn't matter how good your targeting is. You could absolutely mess up, I would say 80% of what's going on with Facebook, but if you have great creative, which we need to work on our creative too, more and even better, like we're practicing getting better too for videos like this, but also videos on Facebook, is the better creative will always win. Something that's shareable, something that engages people is always going to trump in advertising anything else that goes on. Because you could screw up a campaign and you could target the wrong people, but if more people resonate with it, Facebook's gonna show it to more of the right people who took the right action because you did one thing very, very successfully, and that's kept people on Facebook and having Facebook show more content to more people, which means Facebook makes more money and you make more money. So if nothing else, if you watched all the way to this video and you cut out now, don't do that. But if you cut out right now, make sure that 80-90% of your time is focused on very good creative and testing new creative. It is not 2015 where you set up a campaign, you set up some kind of targeting, and you just put an ad in front of somebody and nobody knew what was going on, so they clicked a button and happened to buy your product or sign up for a lead magnet. That's not the case anymore. You have to lead with creative, and anything that's going on right now must have creative that speaks to their audience and stands out. I would tell you to actually jump off of Facebook and go get some inspiration from things like Snapchat or TikTok or Instagram Reels to figure out some good ideas to jog your memory or jog your mind on how to create good creative. Because if you do that, you're gonna beat every single other person who's trying to just sit there and talk to camera or show you behind the scenes because it's already been done. All right, so number 5, this is the one thing that I know you've been waiting for, and it's the one thing that most people mess up. It's actually the thing that most people give advice on online that's absolutely wrong. And it's proven wrong because the people who do know about it don't talk about it. So if you've gotten this far into the video, I want to explain to you one area that you should not be spending your time or money on, and that is interest targeting. So interest targeting is very, very specific to a thing or product or place. So they say, for example, Michael Jordan. You can target anybody who likes Michael Jordan. You can target anybody who likes Nike. The problem is, if somebody likes Michael Jordan, they may like the page. People who hate Michael Jordan may also like his page. Why? Because there's trolls in the world. There are people who hate Nike and love Adidas, but they still like the Nike page because they get in the comments for whatever reason. And they don't even have to like the page for it to fall into this ecosystem or the sphere of people who like Nike. For example, if somebody scrolls up across the page where Nike is mentioned and somebody leaves a comment and they leave another comment, they may be quote unquote classified as somebody who's interested in Nike. When really, in reality, they don't like Nike. They actually hate Nike. So now they're seeing an ad about Nike, which has a bad experience online. Now, you may be saying, okay, well, Facebook can do a really good job of showing this to the right people. And you're right, they absolutely can. But what is more important for advertising is the feedback loop inside of creative and feedback loop inside of advertising. So if you show this to 1,000 people, let's say 900 of them absolutely love Nike and your product, but 100 of them are really pissed off. And let's say 50 of those people are so mad that they say they don't want to see any more ads like this. Well, what happens is let's say you have a relevance score that's like a 9 or a 10, or the new metric is average, above average. Let's just say it goes from above average, where your costs were much lower, to now average because people said, I don't want to see ads like this. So Facebook says, okay, this pool of people who said they like Nike no longer like this ad. So I'm gonna stop showing this ad to people, and I'm actually gonna make people spend more money. You spend more money to reach more people into a smaller pocket who may like it. And if you don't make that change, then it's going to continue to drop over time. So interest groups, more than likely, are going to do great out the gate. But the purpose for running a successful long-term business and long-term ads that are successful, as we mentioned earlier, is to let Facebook do its job and run consistently. If you set up these interest-based campaigns and then you have great results for a week but have to make a change, you're not going to win overall. You're not going to win long-term. So what I would tell you is focus on broad creative, focused on an audience that is not focused on interest-based, and let Facebook do its job, because it's going to continue to learn over time. It's crazy. I know it doesn't seem logical, but it absolutely works. We've seen it month over week over week with clients where cost actually drops. It's targeted on very broadly on age, sex, and location, or gender. But you just focus on those things and let Facebook do its job, and you do it through the thing we just mentioned, which is creative. But don't use interest targeting because it's way too volatile, and it's not meant for advertising that way. So if you've watched any videos before, what I would tell you is go test it. Don't just take my word for it. Go test it. Go try the broad approach versus using interest targeting and see which one of those works better for you. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below what your biggest takeaway was. And if you like this video, make sure that you like the button, or click that like button. And if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button, because it tells YouTube we're pretty cool, which we know that we are, but we hope that you think we are. But it will also show this to more people and will allow us to show up more in your feed so you can watch more content like this and the videos that Christian creates about Shopify. So if you're an e-commerce business and you want to learn how to grow and scale online, make sure you hit that like button and let us know your biggest takeaway, because we may use that to create more content online for you. All right, guys, that's all we have for this week. I will see you next time.